Ian Book makes his starting debut of 2018, and it's not only successful but extremely successful as Notre Dame wins 56-27 over Wake Forest. Tim, 325 yards passing, 25 of 34. That's over 73%. It opens up the running game. The defense, although they were on the field quite a bit, ended up giving up 27 points. They really came through. I thought early in the first quarter, or late in the first quarter, when Michael Young fumbled in the 3-and-out, that was a turning point. The offense took over after that.
Yeah, the 27 points is cosmetic. I think the defense played really well for 3 quarters. Brian Kelly mentioned post-game, look, there were some things we definitely wanted to do. He meant take Greg Dortch out of it. They double-teamed him. You can get beat by some plays that aren't going to beat you. It's kind of like that equivalent of the 7-yard hitch we used to talk about. Chuck Martin said this was their running quarterback is not going to beat us by himself. I thought the D played well considering the conditions, sudden change, and just enough 3-and-outs to take total control of the game while Ian Book was scoring an indeterminate straight number of touchdowns I can barely remember, because every time I looked up, Ian Book was running in the end zone or throwing to someone.
Yeah, Brian Kelly gave a very honest appraisal of his decision with Ian Book, and he said, he didn't sleep very well last night having made that decision, but it was a matchup game for them. It was the defense that they wanted Ian Book to play against. Likewise, he said the Michigan game, they couldn't have won that without Brandon Wimbush at the quarterback position. The running backs were young. He didn't say the offensive line hadn't gained its cohesion yet, but you needed a running quarterback in order to beat a swarming defense like Michigan. He left the door open, as to using Brandon Wimbush in the future, depending upon the matchup. But there's no doubt that Notre Dame's offensive menu is much more expansive. Chip Long is much more creative. He's more decisive in his decision making. And that's an awfully big playbook when Ian Book's at the quarterback.
By no means do I think there are going to be ping-pong starters in this year, though. This is now Ian Book is the starting quarterback. He's probably right in that there's going to be at some point you're going to see a matchup where Brandon Wimbush can really exploit this with his legs. But I think that's a change of pace situation. Book was just fantastic today. He was from... The only reason they probably didn't score on the first drive, as they used to do with Wimbush all the time, was because of an odd penalty by Alex Bars getting downfield. Once he got control of the offense, they were humming. I remember starting to write my game story quickly. I was like, Ian Book was crisp. Then he accounted for his 5th touchdown. I think crisp might not be strong enough adjective for this. This was a great performance by a quarterback that we thought would play well, considering the opponent, but he was outstanding today.
He was above and beyond that. And, this was a Wake Forest offense that had gained more than 500 yards in 4 straight games. That was actually the longest streak in America, along with Texas A&M. And the streak started against Texas A&M in the bowl game last year. And they ended up with 398 yards, but even that was misleading because it was more like 250, 275 when it was still somewhat competitive. But Wake Forest defense, we knew it was bad. And so Notre Dame's offense hasn't arrived just based upon what happened here today. But again, you look at the menu of choices that Chip Long has now. This looks now you look at this team and you say, okay, this looks like a legitimate top 10 team and one that can do some damage against obviously better competition coming up.
Well, they have something to build on offensively now, and the next 2 weeks are going to tell the tale of the season, because these are the 2 most trying games in terms of opponent. The first game, opponent and location, the second game at Virginia Tech. And after that, Notre Dame is going to be light years better than teams they're playing in the trenches. Doesn't mean you're going to win all those games, but this 2-week stretch right here, it seems like they have something now with Book, and it is going to be a far different look going into this week than we thought, where you might be pulling teeth going against Stanford and Virginia Tech.
Notre Dame throws for 325 yards, all by Ian Book, and rushes for another 245 for a total of 570 as Notre Dame hammers Wake Forest 56-27.